Hey everybody, it's Andrew Hutchings here, and this is a follow-up video to a video of mine that got removed, so I won't really mention the original video, but as for the ACEII receptor, which is relevant to COVID-19 because the spike proteins, wherever they may be from, whether it's the virus or somewhere else, because they are somewhere else, they bind to and block this receptor. I literally had a guy in the comments section of another video who claims to have a master's degree in biotechnology arguing with me that it's not an enzyme. It's a receptor. The first thing I should have said, but I didn't think to say this immediately. Do you know what ACE stands for? ACEII. Receptor, we call it. Because it's the receptor of the ACEII. Now, what ACEII is an acronym for angiotensin converting, wait for it, enzyme number 2. I'm done, but I'll go on. Not only does it have, it's literally an acronym for an enzyme, but it has well-known enzyme activity. It converts angiotensin 2 into angiotensin 1,7. It's an extremely common, well-known enzyme, but for some reason, it became scientific terminology norm to call it the ACE2 receptor. It really should just be called the ACE2. We don't need to say receptor. It's redundant. And it's misleading. Well, it's not misleading to anyone who knows what ACE actually stands for, angiotensin converting enzyme, but it definitely is a weird choice of naming convention, because you really don't tend to have an enzyme and then add on the word receptor to the end of it. I mean, it's kind of like a given that the binding site is a receptor. I mean, a receptor is just, I mean, it's really not even accurate to, it's just not accurate to call it a receptor. It's not. I mean, there's a binding site, but it's not really a receptor. But for whatever reason, they decided to put receptor on the end of it to like signify that things can bind to it. I don't know why. Anyone who knows basic biology and chemistry realizes that things can bind to enzymes. They don't have to only bind to receptors. Now, maybe there's some good reason they tossed on the word receptor on the end. I don't care. Bottom line is, it is an enzyme, a well-known enzyme. Any doctor that has dealt with anyone with high blood pressure probably knows about it. Anyone who's taken a basic physiology course probably should know about it. It's like one of the most well-known enzymes in the human body. So this guy's saying he has a master's degree in biotechnology, and he knows that I don't have a degree in biochemistry and molecular biology, and that I never studied this stuff on my own because I think it's an enzyme. Oh, silly me. I should have realized it has no enzymatic activity. There's no such thing as angiotensin. There's no such thing as angiotensinogen. There's no such thing as that whole signaling pathway of all of them going to various things. There's no heart medications that block this enzyme. COVID-19 doesn't block this enzyme. It was never taught in courses. There's no information on it on the internet. Everything I just said is craziness because all that stuff is. That stuff isn't a no. That stuff is a yes. All that exists. And on top of all that, it's been shown for over a year that when it's blocked by COVID, spike proteins, which don't only come from the virus, but I can't say where else they come from or else the video will get slashed and I'll get a slash on my account. But the spike proteins bind to and block this enzyme, which everyone calls a receptor, and it leads to blood clotting. It was shown in Italy like a year ago. They dissected dead bodies and they were all full of thromboses. I just talked to a guy in the gym today. His friend of his got... Sorry, I can't say what happened. I'll have to skip part of it or else this video will get taken off. His friend got something and went to the hospital and they turned him away. Went to a different hospital, had to get 5 stents put in, and even after that, the blood was still clotting in the stents. Not good. An aunt of mine has a friend who died 2 days after getting something with spike protein from blood clots. Lots of other people have symptoms of non-lethal blood clotting. I mean, it's not an opinion that it causes blood clots. It's common knowledge, as I refer to it. And this guy was like, what do you mean common knowledge? Do you mean experimentally shown? Yeah, when something's been experimentally shown very, very, very many times, and it's not new, it becomes common knowledge. And if you ask any doctor that has any relation to the heart, they would say it's common knowledge that about all this ACE2 receptor stuff. And again, I say ACE2 receptor, but it's an enzyme. Angiotensin converting enzyme number 2 receptor. The receptor of the enzyme, but still I don't like calling it that because it's slightly inaccurate. So that guy may actually have a master's degree in biotech, and that's the problem with our it's not our education system. The education systems are good. The problem is the people that go into them are stupid, and they should never be working as scientists, never be working as doctors. They should find something that suits them because science does not. There are people that graduate with degrees in this stuff who can't even do simple dilutions. A dilution is like you fill up half a glass with alcohol and you want to dilute it to be half as strong, so you pour half water in also. Now, a little bit more complicated than that, but it's really not. I mean, when I say I mean a little. Like doing not just half and half, like different ones. You have people that have degrees in chemistry or biology or biochem who cannot even do that. I mean, they'll manage to end up getting it done after like a few hours. Well, I mean, that's when they have help. So who knows if they didn't have help from someone like me or the TA or someone. So yeah, on their own, I have no clue how long they could, if they would ever figure it out. It's not complicated, but most people who go to school, regardless of degree, it seems like, are not smart and should not be going for that degree because they have no actual passion for it and they don't have the brains for it. When you don't have passion and brains, and it's not just how you are in your heart, it doesn't work out so well. Yeah, it's super common knowledge. It's in the name. ACE2 receptor stands for angiotensin 2 converting enzyme receptor. Why is it called 2? Because angiotensin converting enzyme 2 converts angiotensin 2 into angiotensin 1,7. Not 17, not 1 and 7, it's 1,7. It's chemical terminology. But yeah, there's no question about it being an enzyme. It's a very important enzyme. When it's blocked and it can't function, bad things happen. Blood clots, vasoconstriction. If it's really bad, you can get pulmonary edema. So the next time someone tells you it's not an enzyme, it's a receptor, go ahead and tell them they're an idiot. Or say whatever you can that is appropriate. Now, if they just genuinely don't know and they don't know anything about science and they just read it, they didn't even read it, then obviously be nice to them. But if they're like asserting, no, you're stupid, it's a receptor, not an enzyme, lay it on them. You just start with, do you even know what ACEII stands for? And it'd be funny if they do, and then they say it out loud and go, oh, it is an enzyme. But I bet you those same kind of people would somehow try to twist things around and somehow justify it into not being an enzyme, despite it literally being in the name. But if they won't stop, just pull up the enzymatic activity chart on the internet where it shows its products, what goes in and what comes. That's what enzymes do. They change things, or they combine things. They change things, whether it's by combining them, breaking them, altering them. Yeah, and if you've seen my other videos, you know the end, but you can hire me for personal training type stuff, consultations, plans, anything. Same thing with diet, same thing with supplements, not medical advice, only to consolidate medical information, put it all in one place, along with my opinion. You can hire me to tutor you in chemistry, organic chemistry, chemical biology, whatever. Not physics, not calculus, not computer programming chemistry, and not physical chemistry. I don't want to do those things, and I'm not very good at them. It's not that I'm not very good at them, it's that I haven't done them in a long, long time. And physical chemistry, I haven't done very much of. Oh yeah, also this guy, it was amazing. He posted links to PubMed as if they backed up his argument that the spike protein doesn't block the ACEII receptors, which are actually enzymes, and that it's not dangerous or something. And what he linked me to is literally talking about this. It brushes on it, but it was like a completely irrelevant study. It had nothing to do with the topic at hand. It actually took my side more than his, even though it barely touched on it. But then what's funny is the whole bottom part of it was debunking people's theories on why it's man-made. And they're like, well, technically there's a 1 in a million chance this could happen in nature, so it happened in nature. Now, if the odds were 1 versus a million, what do you think's more likely? If it's 1,000,000 times more likely that it was made in a lab than being natural, do you think that's really disproving that it was made in a lab? In my opinion, and in the opinion of anyone with any sort of brain that they think for themselves, if you saw that it's literally 1,000,000, like, I don't remember if they literally said 1,000,000 or like 10,000 or whatever, or if they just said incredibly, but I think they said like 1,000,000. 1,000,000 times more likely it was man-made than occurred naturally, because there was like no way this part of the gene of HIV would have been able to get into this. But then they're like, well, we found one bat in the whole world where it has something similar. First of all, that doesn't mean anything. Second of all, that bat could have been human messed with. That bat could not, maybe even just not exist. They've got caught publishing fake medical studies in this last year. And they had to remove them because they were just completely fabricated. I don't know who they is. It's just, I don't know if they're all working together. I don't know if individual groups just want, I don't know, but stuff is going on. So yeah, it was hilarious reading about it. And I actually saved it because it was a good read. I didn't know about a little bit of the stuff about a certain cleavage site that is made to make it so that the virus is able to infect all cells versus only a small subgroup of cells. Even when I looked at this virus stuff a year ago, you look through it and it's like, oh yeah, that's a good thing to change it to be. That's a good thing to change it to be. That's a good thing to change it to be. That's a good thing to change it to be. That's a good thing to change it to be. Like you're going down a checklist of optimizing something. And that's this virus. Except it doesn't kill very many people. Maybe it wasn't meant to. Maybe it was meant to and there was a mistake. Maybe there were multiple different strains and one of them that isn't very deadly got out. Maybe it wasn't meant to kill people, and it was just meant to wreak havoc and alter things in events and such. Regardless, they literally go and show you all the evidence for why it's man-made, and then go, but there's a 1 in a trillion chance it's natural, so it's natural. I mean, if someone told you that for anything else, would you take that 1 in a trillion chance, or would you go with the rest of the trillion times more likely scenario? I know what I would do. I know what you would do. But for some reason with this virus, people don't. Hopefully this video doesn't get deleted.